Bienvenidas, not to the first, second, but the third Financially Strong Latina. If you are new to Financially Strong Latina, bienvenida. We are thrilled to have you. I am Jen Hemphill, an accredited financial counselor, host of the Her Dinero Matters podcast, and the creator of this event. This year is a little different. Since times are changing, so are we. Today, we are kicking it off strong with meeting and learning the incredible story of Linda Garcia, a true wealth warrior. Then, throughout the month, week after week, we are going to be sending you some financial goodness directly to your inbox, where you will learn from some of the best in our community. This includes Rita Soledad Fernandez, Natalie Torres Haddad, Nestor Vargas, and Andrea Rotondo. And you know the best part? You will be more confident about budgeting, getting out of debt, investing, earning more money, and more, all in just 10 minutes for each topic. Get comfortable and get ready to be inspired, learn about that dinero, and leave feeling financially stronger. Before we move on, let's watch this message from Veronica Segovia Bedon and our exclusive sponsor, AARP.
Hello, my name is Veronica Segovia Bedon. I am Senior Audience Manager for Hispanic Latino Strategy in AARP's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I am honored to open Financially Strong Latina 2023. As the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 plus to choose how they live as they age, AARP is a strong advocate for the communities we serve, and opportunities to sponsor sessions like this one help ensure Latinas have access to resources that help us make informed decisions so our money can live as long as we do. As you may know, Latinas are living longer, and we must become financially savvy, especially as we face the fact that we are more likely to earn less, have more student debt, and take on unpaid yet essential family caregiving duties. AARP's Public Policy Institute found that about 64% of Latinos do not have access to workplace retirement plans. Stats like these reinforce the opportunity AARP has to provide resources as well as expert content and tools for Latino consumers to remain informed when it comes to personal finance and planning for retirement. I want to commend you for taking steps to secure your financial future by tuning into events like this one. Over the course of Financially Strong Latina 2023, you'll hear about tools like AARP's Interview and Advisor tool, AARP Money Map, thisispretirement.org that helps you create a personalized retirement savings action plan, and the Savvy Student Loan Repayment tool, which hosts frequent free workshops where you can tune in to learn how policy updates may affect you and your family's student loans. And I have to take this point of privilege to mention that AARP has been fighting for 60 years and will continue to lead the charge to keep Social Security viable for current and future generations. AARP's Social Security Resource Center is available in both English and Spanish. Whether you or your primas, tías, tíos expect to live comfortably in retirement or expect to worry about needing to work longer to pay bills, it can be challenging to figure out Social Security retirement benefits and to maximize payments. As a trusted source of reliable, current, and unbiased information, the AARP Social Security Resource Center can help us understand our options to make the best choices for each situation. I encourage you all to check out aarp.org/money for more information. And with that, it is a tremendo honor to kick off Financially Strong Latina 2023.
Are you ready? I know I am. Let's begin with Linda Garcia, whose spiritual journey led her to what she considers her life's purpose: to help our Latinx community heal the generational money wounds that prevent us from achieving wealth. Linda, one of the stories that you share that I really relate to, as I am sure many of our people listening and watching today do too, is your story of los tacos de papa. Tell us the details behind the meanings of tacos de papa for you, and how has that left a long lasting impact on you, and why?
Yeah, this answer may actually come to you as a surprise, but I think what has impacted me the most, aside from understanding scarcity in a household, is a mother's ingenuity, in the sense that typically when you would think of meals that are perhaps in low income households, something that would come to mind, at least for me, is frijoles and tortillas, or frijoles and arroz. And so the papas were just a testimony to my mom's ingenuity in understanding that a potato has much more volume and can feed the family over more days than beans and rice can. And believe it or not, that has been the part that has impacted me the most, because it really gave me a glimpse of my mom's ability to problem solve in hard economic times. During those times, she always talks about how she only had $7 a month that had to sustain us. And that's how she did it with those tacos de papa. I still eat them to this day. I enjoy them. I love them. And it's my favorite food to just get grounded.
For me, instead of tacos de papa, it was lentejas y arroz. Todos los días de la semana. So I really related and resonated with that. When did you notice how much of an impact this made on you? And how did this show up in your life?
I think it noticed more in the sense where my mom really wouldn't let me forget. Over the course of the years, she would always tell us the story of having $7 and eating tacos de papa. So I understood the impact it had on her. And I think that's a testament to children's level of resiliency, and how perhaps the impact on parents is greater. Where my mom was feeling sorry for the experience, I didn't know any different and was just experiencing life. But it was my mom's memories and her tie to those memories that impacted me the most emotionally, where I started to understand, oh, I guess this wasn't a good experience. I guess I should maybe change my perspective on the experience. But overall, as I was moving through the experience of being a child of immigrants and watching my parents work multiple jobs, I did begin to develop my own understanding with making money and generating money. It did begin to impact me in broader ways.
And in your book, Wealth Warrior, you shared that you like to think of yourself as a warrior, not a victim, not a survivor, when referring to those hardships that you have endured. If you could talk to us about some of those hardships and how these hardships have led you to identifying more as a warrior. And how do you define a warrior?
Yes, absolutely. So I experienced really dark experiences from the time I was very little, having to stay in other people's homes while my mom was working, or staying by myself. There weren't a lot of adults that were really caring for me throughout my childhood. So I dealt with a lot of dark experiences. And as I navigated those memories growing up as an adult, I began to really understand that the more I felt sorry for myself and the more I saw myself as a victim, the more I showed up that way as an adult. And it was really important for me to move into the space where I believed in myself to be able to overcome challenging and potentially traumatic experiences as a child and show up as an adult that had overcome those experiences. And to understand that in life, truly, success comes from a pile of failures. I really believe that. I believe that there's so much more that trials, tribulations, and failures in life, I believe that so much can be gained from those experiences versus just succeeding at something over and over again. And so there was this deep desire in me to show up like a warrior and someone that was able to overcome any negative thoughts that I had caused by negative experiences growing up. And so I like to embody the word warrior. It really just reminds me every single day that I have what it takes to overcome challenges that I'm confronted with.
I love it. Now, these hardships that you have shared and talked about can create money wounds. Tell us, how do you define money wounds and how have they shown up in your life as a result of the hardships you've endured?
Absolutely. So, money wounds for me are a relationship that we have with money. And so, for me and my perspective and the way I look at this relationship starts with a set of beliefs. Sometimes those beliefs aren't even ours. Going back to my mom always telling me about the tacos de papa and me being oblivious or resilient to that experience as a child, but I could see the wounds in her. And so those narratives then translated over to me, where I started to pick apart the experience even further. So a lot of the times our stories, our money stories, are stories that have been handed down. We can also adopt these stories from extended relatives, friends, and in our school systems, via our teachers, via others that we encounter that have really strong beliefs and feel the desire or the need to share those beliefs with you. So we start adopting these beliefs through our life. And then we sort of begin to form a relationship with money based on those beliefs. And that relationship, from my perspective, is what begins to show up and reflect in the money that you have as an adult. So I really believe that our money is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves and the narrative that we have and the narratives that we subscribe to. So for me, it's always really important to constantly pay attention to the dialogue that I'm having mentally in order to put those beliefs to rest and start to create a new belief, a belief of empowerment, a belief that belongs to a warrior, someone that is able to overcome any scarcity narratives that are deeply rooted in our psyche.
There was so much to what you shared with us, Linda, and it's so key to really, like you said, understand or really be aware of those dialogues in your mind, because money wounds influence our financial decisions, sometimes without us fully understanding why we did what we did. So tell us what this can look like.
Yeah, many times our money scarcity will limit us from taking any action. So what starts to happen is that we begin an emotional attachment to money. In that if we see money dwindling or money not coming in, we start to have an emotional reaction towards money versus having a logical reaction towards money and taking appropriate action. And so we're completely disconnected from the idea that money is actually a tool. It is a tool that is created by human beings. If we did not exist, money would not exist. And so it's important for us to begin looking at money for the tool that it is versus an emotional component, or allow for it to determine our personal value based on how much we have. The only way that money can multiply in this country for us to build generational wealth and have a healthy relationship with money is by understanding that money is a tool, and investing money and understanding how to manage money properly creates more money. Most of us really don't understand the financial literacy component of that, and we spend our time exchanging it for money versus using it for the tool that it is and investing in it and managing it correctly.
That was so good. One thing I read in your book that really stood out was about cutting enjoyment and how it can lead deeper into our money wounds and putting generational wealth further behind our reach. So when we're cutting those frappes, lattes, whatever, that it can lead to that. Can you dive deeper into this and why this is something we shouldn't ignore?
Absolutely. So, money scarcity is very tricky and it can come in many different forms. And sometimes when we're trying to manage money, we lean deeper into scarcity, as you just said. And so, I think it's really important to understand what makes us happy in life, what pleasures we enjoy, and lean into that, cutting other things out that don't bring you as much pleasure and leaning into the things that make us happy. I think that it's important for us to understand that it's not just money that we can access in abundance, but it is also the things that bring us happiness and make us content at the end of the day. This is a journey about living life to its to its full potential, not just trying to identify how we can restrict ourselves from the experience of being here in this lifetime.
Love it. Now, one thing that is known about our community, nuestra comunidad, is our work ethic. We're hardworking. Our mindset is also about survival, putting our roof over our head, feeding our kids, making sure the basic needs are met. Building wealth typically isn't in the picture. So how can we change this in nuestra comunidad?
Yeah, so I think a big part of this experience, as we were talking about earlier, is leaning into the things that bring us joy. And we've been taught a lot of the times by our parents that come here as immigrants, speaking from myself as a child of immigrants, that we're supposed to sacrifice what we do for a living, our pleasures, in order to bring in money. And I think it's important for us to make space to know that if we tap in and lean towards the things that make us happy, that can actually expand the amount of money that we bring in. If we're in a more joyous state day to day, Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week, or, longer than that, not just sacrificing the 40 hours doing something that makes us unhappy, and leaning into making money in that way. And then, of course, understanding that money is the tool and taking in the right financial literacy to understand how we can make more money using money as the tool that it is. Financial literacy is really important, and I think we can't deny that in this experience as we learn more about money ourselves and we focus on our community gaining more money. But I think that the very first step, even before financial literacy, it's going to be very important for us to focus on our money mindset, what our personal experience has been, and then take practical steps identifying what your credit score is, identifying how much debt you have, which I know those sound like very simple things, but for so many of us, at least I can speak for myself, when I first started on this journey, it was the last thing I ever wanted to do. I would get anxiety just even looking at my bank account. And so I think taking those very simple steps and encouraging folks to do them is an important part of the process, not just to find the answer that you're looking for, meaning what your credit score is, how much debt you have, potentially what your net worth is, how much you have in savings, but so that you can take a temperature check on your personal emotions and how you feel through that process. Taking steps in that process is going to reveal to you your money mindset. It's going to be front and center how you feel about money. What are the thoughts that go through your mind as you're taking those actions? That's going to be your first step to understanding your personal money wounds and then working towards changing those beliefs. Many times when we look at those narratives and those beliefs, that broken record that's running in our mind, most of the time it's not even true or remotely close to being true. So if I can encourage anyone to do anything, the first step is doing those simple tasks, but paying attention and being self-aware to how you feel and what narrative is running through your mind.
Now, you believe that the ability of generating wealth already lives within us. What do we say to those that feel the odds are stacked against them, like maybe from systemic barriers and such? How much does feeling for those currently living in difficult times impact the ability to invest and create wealth?
I think it's really important for us to acknowledge the barriers that do exist and the limitations. I also think it's equally important for us to focus on how many of those barriers we're using against us in our mind and stopping ourselves from actually achieving the things that we are more than capable of achieving. It doesn't matter what society says or what those systemic barriers are, but if we're using those narratives against ourselves in order to accomplish the things that we truly desire in our heart to accomplish, then that's where the issue lies. And so I think it is also our responsibility to change our internal narrative. And I think that by changing our internal narrative, we will start to show up different in the world, and we will change that narrative collectively amongst our community members and no longer show up in that way. It is so important for us to tap into our personal power and move towards the things that we want to achieve that may feel scary, that society may say is not for us, or false narratives that are running that we think is not for us. It's important for us to let those thoughts, push those thoughts aside and continue working towards what we truly want.
And I think with the work that you do, I think you are creating an impact for those in our community to be able to do that. So I want to applaud you and your work and what you're doing for our community. And for those watching, like Linda said, really it all comes to belief in yourself. And if you don't have the belief in yourself, lean on others like us to help you believe what you want to do, because the opportunities are endless. We just have to lean on each other, and I think there's so much potential there. Linda, before we wrap up, would you leave us with one more piece of wisdom for us?
I think it's really important for us to understand the limitless potential that we have in our brain power. It's really important for me to convey that, because oftentimes I feel like we see ourselves in specific spaces. We're comfortable filling up those spaces. But I think that there's an entire world out there that we need to continue to explore. A lot of the times this gets really scary when we're the only ones in the room, and we have self-doubt that is normal for us to experience. But in the same way as different classes and different folks, whether white folks or whoever outside of our culture, whatever they're experiencing, the businesses that they're creating is based on an idea that they have. And so I think what I really want for us to understand is that everything that exists and generates money is based on an idea. And we have unlimited potential to tap into ideas that we have for ourselves. And it's important to stay true to those ideas, listen to those ideas, and take action and move towards them. Even if we fail at unfolding those ideas completely, I think it's still important for us to trek through the experience and see what we learn. I really want to be in a space where I see more founders that are created by people of color, by our community. I want to see more founders IPO their businesses, fundraise money. I think it's important for us to start filling up those specific spaces.
Thank you so much, Linda. You have been so fantastic. I'm just real thrilled that you are here with us today to share this space and share your wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
We want to know, why are you a warrior? Share in the comments and our pop-up group. Tag a friend here and invite them to this event. Remember to fill out your workbook as you hear from our remaining speakers to be eligible to participate in our prize giveaway.